Ethan Langford is a billionaire with everything: power, wealth, and a secret he can't afford to reveal. When he meets Alex Rivera, a stranger with a charm that breaks all his rules, desire ignites. But their love must stay hidden from the world. Behind closed doors, passion burns hotter than danger and trust is fragile. Yet one careless move, one subtle leak could expose them both. Will their forbidden affair survive the shadows, or will the world uncover their secret and destroy everything they've risked? The countdown to scandal has begun. The cafe was bustling, a symphony of clinking cups, murmured conversations, and the faint hiss of the espresso machine. Ethan Langford slipped through the door, head down, hood pulled over his usually impeccable hair. Despite his efforts, the sharp-eyed barista gave him a quick glance that hinted at recognition, though she didn't dare say anything. The last thing he wanted was attention. A billionaire's life was private in theory, but in reality, it was a constant battle against prying eyes, flashing cameras, and gossiping tongues. Ethan slid into a corner table, away from the main flow of patrons. He breathed a small sigh of relief. At least here, for a brief moment, he could pretend to be just another customer with a craving for a double espresso. He pulled out his phone, scrolling aimlessly, but his thoughts kept wandering. The door chimed again and the bell echoed softly. Ethan glanced up briefly and froze. The stranger had walked in. Tall, with slightly tousled dark hair that fell carelessly over his forehead, he carried himself with an unpretentious confidence. His brown eyes scanned the cafe, curious but relaxed, and when they met Ethan's for just a fraction of a second, something in the billionaire's chest tightened. There was an effortless warmth about him, a groundedness Ethan hadn't realized he'd been craving. The stranger approached the counter, ordering his drink with a casual charm that made the barista smile. Ethan found himself watching, captivated by the way he spoke, the slight tilt of his head, the relaxed movement of his hands. There was no hint of pretense, no trace of someone trying to impress, just him. A sudden jostle snapped Ethan out of his thoughts. The stranger had turned, stepping back quickly as someone brushed past him, and their shoulders collided. Ethan's coffee nearly slipped from his hand. "I'm so sorry," the stranger exclaimed, eyes wide. There was genuine concern in his voice, a mix of surprise and amusement. "I wasn't looking." "Oh." His gaze met Ethan's directly and something unspoken passed between them. "It's fine," Ethan said, keeping his voice neutral, though a flicker of something stronger tightened his chest. "I wasn't paying attention either." The stranger smiled, a small, genuine smile that seemed to light up the space around him. "I'm Alex," he said, holding out his hand. Ethan hesitated for a moment, then shook it. "Ethan," he replied, the simplicity of the moment feeling strangely intimate. His fingers brushed against Alex's, and for a heartbeat, the world seemed to narrow down to just the two of them. Alex glanced around, then back at Ethan. "Are you alone?" he asked casually, though his curiosity was clear. "Yes," Ethan lied, smoothly, though he rarely had to hide his solitude. He preferred it this way, alone but protected. Alex nodded, as if satisfied with the answer, and then leaned closer slightly. "Would you like some company? Maybe we could grab a coffee together?" Ethan blinked, momentarily taken aback. It wasn't common for strangers to ask him to sit with them, let alone someone who seemed so disarmingly honest. But there was something about Alex that drew him in, something that made the usual rules feel irrelevant. "Sure," he said finally, gesturing to the empty seat across from Alex. The conversation started cautiously, tentative small talk about the weather, the city, the trivialities of life. But soon, it shifted into something more personal. Alex spoke about his work at a small design firm, his love for old books, and the little quirks of city life he enjoyed. Ethan, for his part, kept the details of his identity vague, careful not to reveal the truth that could ruin this fragile moment of connection. Yet he found himself laughing freely, leaning in when Alex told a story, his usual guardedness slipping ever so slightly. Alex, despite his charm, wasn't oblivious. He noticed the subtle tension in Ethan's posture, the way he occasionally glanced toward the door as if expecting trouble, or the faint stiffness in his fingers. It was as if Ethan carried an invisible weight, and Alex couldn't help but wonder what it was. There was something hidden, something unspoken, and while it made him curious, it also made him cautious. A moment of silence fell between them, comfortable yet charged. Ethan reached for his cup, fingers brushing against the porcelain, and felt a sudden boldness. He leaned closer slightly, lowering his voice. "I like talking to you," he said, almost a whisper. "You make things feel normal." Alex's heart skipped a beat, and he felt an unexpected warmth spread through him. He wasn't sure why or what it meant, but he couldn't deny the pull he felt toward this stranger. He tilted his head, studying Ethan's features under the dim cafe lights. The strong jawline, the sharp yet kind eyes, the faint stubble along his chin. He looked different somehow, more approachable than the confident aura he exuded. "I like talking to you too," Alex admitted, his voice soft. A small smile tugged at his lips. "You're different from anyone I've met." Ethan's lips quirked into a small smile in return, but his mind raced. Different? That was the truth, but dangerous in its implications. The last thing he could afford was to let anyone know who he really was, especially someone who had just walked into his life. Yet he couldn't stop himself from leaning just a fraction closer, drawn to the warmth radiating from Alex. For a fleeting moment, the noise of the cafe, the chatter, the clinking of cups, all of it faded. It was just the two of them sitting across from each other, caught in a tension neither could fully name. Ethan wanted to reach out, to close the small distance between them, but he stopped himself, aware that any boldness now might scare Alex away. Alex, on the other hand, felt a strange mixture of excitement and apprehension. There was something magnetic about Ethan, yes, but there was also mystery. He could sense that Ethan was holding something back, something important. And the thought of being part of a secret he didn't fully understand made him uneasy. Yet, despite the unease, Alex found himself leaning in just a little, unconsciously closing the space between them. And when their eyes met again, something unspoken passed between them. A spark, a promise, a question neither dared to voice yet. Ethan excused himself moments later, checking his watch. I should go," he murmured, though neither seemed eager to break the connection. Alex nodded, hiding the small pang of disappointment. "Okay, but maybe we could do this again?" Ethan hesitated, then nodded slightly. "Yes, I'd like that." As he slipped back into the crowded streets, blending into the city's hum once more, Ethan couldn't help but replay Alex's smile, the warmth of his hand, the way his eyes had lingered just a little too long. He knew one thing for certain. This encounter was far from ordinary, and it was only the beginning. And Alex? He walked away with a fluttering chest and a racing mind, feeling inexplicably drawn to a stranger who had stirred feelings he wasn't ready to face. The sense of excitement was there, yes, but so was the unease of the unknown. Something about Ethan was different, and Alex couldn't shake the sense that meeting him might change everything, whether he wanted it to or not. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Alex. The way his smile had lit up the cafe, the easy way he carried himself, the subtle humor in his voice, all of it replayed in Ethan's mind, relentless and vivid. For a man used to control and discretion, he had never felt such a magnetic pull toward someone entirely outside his world. And yet, the pull came with a whispering warning: the world could never know. It had taken him 3 days to work up the courage to call Alex. Ethan had carefully chosen the time and place for their first private meeting, a quiet art gallery on the outskirts of the city after hours. He wanted a space where no one could recognize him, where they could simply exist without interference. Alex arrived first, dressed casually, looking effortlessly ordinary. When he saw Ethan slipping through the door moments later, his chest jumped. The contrast between Ethan's composed, almost regal presence and the relaxed ease of Alex's demeanor was almost surreal. "Hey," Ethan greeted softly, a small smile playing at his lips. "Hey," Alex replied, his tone neutral, though his eyes betrayed curiosity and caution. "This place, it's nice. Quiet." Ethan nodded. "I thought it might be comfortable. Private." He hesitated, watching Alex's subtle tension. "I hope that's okay. I don't usually do things like this." Alex's lips twitched into a faint smile. "I've noticed." His tone was teasing but gentle. "You're mysterious, and maybe a little intimidating." Ethan chuckled softly. "I'll take that as a compliment." His eyes softened as he studied Alex. There was a vulnerability there that made Ethan want to protect him, yet he also knew he couldn't reveal too much. Not yet. Not ever. They wandered through the gallery, stopping at pieces that caught their attention. Their conversation shifted from trivialities to more personal glimpses into their lives. Ethan learned about Alex's love for old architecture, his habit of scribbling small sketches in the margins of notebooks, and the way he laughed at things Ethan wouldn't have expected. And then there was the first intimate moment. They lingered in front of a painting, an abstract swirl of colors, chaotic yet beautiful. Ethan stepped closer and without thinking reached for Alex's hand. His fingers brushed against Alex's, lingering slightly. Alex's breath hitched. "Oh," Alex began, pulling his hand back slightly, then hesitated. This is fast." Ethan smiled softly, sensing the unease. I know. I don't usually do this either. But I wanted to see you again. I wanted this moment. Alex looked down at their almost touching hands, a mixture of desire and uncertainty in his gaze. It's nice, but people can't know, right? His voice lowered, tinged with worry. Why is it always a secret? Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to reassure Alex, to tell him that his world was complicated, that revealing anything could destroy him. But he also wanted to reach out, to close the distance. Instead, he simply said, I can't explain everything yet. But I promise, you're safe with me. Alex's eyes searched Ethan's, looking for signs of deceit. There was sincerity there, undeniable, but also a barrier he couldn't breach. The pull between them was irresistible, yet Alex felt a pang of frustration at being kept in the shadows. Ethan leaned slightly closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Can I? Before he could finish, Alex's lips met his in a hesitant kiss. It was soft at first, tentative, both of them testing boundaries. Ethan's hands cupped Alex's face gently, fingers tracing the line of his jaw, sending shivers through Alex's body. Alex's hands trembled slightly as he touched Ethan's chest, feeling the tension in his muscles, the quiet strength beneath the designer suit that no one here could see. The kiss deepened, more urgent now, and Alex's heart raced. Pleasure mixed with anxiety, a confusing tangle of emotions. He wanted to melt into Ethan, wanted to let go, but the secrecy gnawed at him. They were hidden, invisible to the world, and yet exposed to one another in a way that made Alex feel both thrilled and vulnerable. When they finally broke apart, Alex leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. This is crazy, he murmured. We shouldn't, you can't. Ethan pressed a finger to Alex's lips gently. Sure, just us here. No one else. Just this moment. His voice was soft, soothing, magnetic. I can't tell the world, Alex. But I can be here with you in every other way that matters. Alex nodded slowly, torn between desire and caution. I don't know if I can do this. The hiding, it's hard. Ethan's eyes softened. I know. And I don't expect you to have all the answers now. Just stay with me. Just for tonight. Alex's defenses weakened, the warmth of Ethan's hands, the sincerity in his gaze, and the rush of emotions overtaking caution. Okay, he whispered finally. They spent the rest of the evening wandering the gallery, leaning close to each other in quiet moments, sharing whispered stories and stolen touches. Every interaction was intimate in its own way, yet always underscored by the tension of secrecy. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he was glimpsing a side of Ethan no one else would ever see, and that terrified him as much as it thrilled him. As they left the gallery, the city lights casting long shadows, Ethan walked Alex to a nearby taxi stand. He lingered, hesitant to let him go. Will I see you again? Alex asked, his voice almost a whisper. Ethan nodded, his eyes dark and earnest. Yes. As long as you want me to. Alex's lips twitched into a small, reluctant smile. I think I do. Ethan watched the taxi drive away, the city swallowing Alex from sight, and for the first time in a long while, he felt something dangerous and exhilarating. Hope. Hope that the secret, the risk, and the hidden world he had created might just be worth it, because Alex Rivera had already stolen more than a glance, more than a smile. He had captured something Ethan hadn't realized he'd been missing all along. And Alex? As he sank into the back of the taxi, he replayed the evening in his mind, torn between excitement and fear. The intensity of what had just happened, the pull he felt toward Ethan, and the looming shadow of secrecy made him realize one undeniable truth. He was in too deep. And yet, he couldn't resist. The city glittered below the towering skyscrapers, its lights reflecting in the polished marble floors of the gala hall. Ethan Langford moved through the crowd with practiced ease, his tailored suit impeccable, his smile charming but measured. Yet beneath the composed exterior, tension coiled like a spring. Liam Carrington, his longtime business rival and social predator, prowled the hall, his sharp eyes scanning the faces of the elite. Ethan had noticed his attention earlier, the subtle narrowing of Liam's gaze, the way he lingered just a fraction too long on Ethan's movements. Liam had always been ambitious, jealous of Ethan's success, and now, if he noticed anything unusual, he could turn it into a scandal that would ruin everything. Ethan's pulse quickened as he felt Alex's presence near the edge of the hall. He had insisted on bringing Alex along, but keeping him hidden from prying eyes proved harder than anticipated. Alex lingered near the drinks table, fidgeting slightly, glancing around nervously. Ethan's heart ached at the sight. Stay close, Ethan whispered under his breath, fingers brushing against Alex's hand as he guided him into a more secluded corner. Alex startled slightly at the touch, a mixture of relief and apprehension flickering in his eyes. "This is overwhelming," Alex murmured, his voice low. "I didn't think being around all these people would feel so tense." Ethan nodded, understanding. "I know. I wish it were different. I wish I could be open about us, but I can't. Not here. Not now." His eyes softened, tracing Alex's jawline, lingering on the way his lips parted slightly as he spoke. The heat of their secret made every glance, every brush of skin, feel electric. Alex looked away, frustration and longing mixing in his gaze. I don't know if I can keep hiding like this. I like you, Ethan, but it feels like I don't exist when the world's watching. It's exhausting." Ethan's hand slid up to Alex's back, drawing him closer in a subtle embrace, careful not to draw attention. "I know. I wish I could change it. But right now, this is the only way we can be together." The tension between them was nearly unbearable, a combination of desire and fear. Ethan leaned closer, voice a whisper, "Let me show you, even here, even like this, you're mine." Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to push back, to remind Ethan of boundaries, yet the thrill of the secret, the closeness, the forbidden intimacy made his knees weak. He leaned in, their foreheads touching, breaths mingling. The glittering crowd seemed to disappear, leaving only the two of them hidden in a bubble of stolen moments. And then Liam's sharp voice cut through the air like a knife. "Ethan Langford." Ethan's head snapped up. Liam was standing at the edge of the hall, a glass of champagne in his hand, eyes glinting with suspicion. His gaze flicked subtly toward Alex, lingering just a little too long. Ethan felt a jolt of alarm. Liam knew something was off, he could sense it. Alex stiffened beside him, eyes wide. "Do you think he knows?" he whispered, panic rising in his chest. Ethan squeezed his hand reassuringly, though inside, his mind raced. "Not yet. Just stay calm." Liam's smile was sharp, predatory. He moved closer under the guise of greeting someone, but Ethan kept a careful watch. Every subtle glance, every slight lean toward Alex, sent a ripple of unease through him. He could feel Alex tense against him, the heat of his body mingling with fear. "Why do we have to hide like this?" Alex whispered again, voice tight with frustration and desire. "I like you, Ethan. I don't know. I want to feel like we can just be." Ethan pressed a quick kiss to the side of Alex's neck, a gentle, intimate gesture that sent shivers down Alex's spine. "I know. I wish we could. But for now, this is what we have. Just us right here, right now." Alex's breath hitched. The forbidden nature of the touch, the closeness amid the crowded room, made him dizzy. Desire and anxiety tangled together, a dangerous mix. He wanted to pull back, to ask for more clarity, but his body betrayed him, leaning closer instead. Liam moved past them, but not without casting another suspicious glance. Ethan exhaled quietly. That had been too close. He could feel Alex's tension, the subtle tremor in his hands as he gripped Ethan's arm. "You're shaking," Ethan murmured, voice low and soothing. "It's okay. I'm here." Alex's lips pressed together. "I know, but I hate this feeling. Hiding. I don't want to just be a secret." Ethan cupped Alex's face gently. "You're not just a secret. You're important. More important than anyone else's opinions or rumors or threats. Do you trust me?" Alex's gaze softened, torn between longing and fear. I think I do." Ethan's thumb traced along Alex's jawline, pulling him into a stolen, heated kiss. It was urgent and desperate, fueled by the fear of exposure, the thrill of secrecy, and the undeniable attraction simmering between them. Alex's hands moved to Ethan's chest, clutching at the tailored fabric as if grounding himself in reality, and for a moment, nothing else existed. The kiss broke, leaving them both breathless. Ethan rested his forehead against Alex's, his voice husky. "We'll figure it out. Together. No one can take this from us." Alex nodded slowly, though doubt lingered in his eyes. "I hope so. I really hope so." The rest of the gala passed in a tense blur. Ethan kept Alex close, steering him through conversations with select business partners while keeping Liam at a careful distance. Each glance from Liam made Alex's anxiety spike, yet each secret touch from Ethan made his pulse race in a dangerous, thrilling way. As they finally stepped outside into the cool night air, Alex exhaled, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "I don't know how you do this, hide from everyone always," he murmured. Ethan smiled faintly, pulling Alex into a brief embrace under the streetlights. "It's not easy. But moments like this, they make it worth it. Alex leaned into him, conflicted emotions swirling inside him. Desire, fear, frustration, and longing all battled at once. He wanted to be with Ethan, wanted to surrender to the attraction, but the secrecy gnawed at him relentlessly. And yet, he couldn't resist. As Ethan watched Alex disappear into a waiting taxi, he felt a mixture of triumph and dread. Their secret love was growing stronger, more dangerous, and more intoxicating with each stolen moment. And he knew one thing: sooner or later someone would try to tear them apart. But for tonight it was just them. The private yacht glided silently across the dark waters, leaving the city lights behind. Ethan stood at the bow, his suit crisp and his hair tousled by the wind. He breathed in the salty air, trying to calm the tension that had been gnawing at him all night. Behind him, Alex lingered, hands buried in his jacket pockets, eyes darting across the deck with a mixture of awe and anxiety. "This is incredible," Alex whispered, his voice barely audible over the water's soft lap. "I've never been on anything like this." Ethan turned slightly, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I wanted a place where no one could see us, no one could interfere. Just us." Alex exhaled, running a hand over his face. "It's amazing, Ethan, but it's scary. Always hiding. Always pretending." His eyes met Ethan's, full of vulnerability and a subtle guilt he couldn't quite hide. "Sometimes I wonder if it's really worth it." Ethan stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from Alex's face. "It is. I promise. Out here it's just us. No one else matters." His voice was low, intimate, and magnetic, pulling Alex closer. Alex hesitated for a heartbeat, then leaned into him. Their lips met, soft and tentative at first, then deeper as months of restrained longing poured into the kiss. Alex's hands trembled slightly as they pressed against Ethan's chest, holding on, clinging to this stolen moment. But even in the heat of the intimacy, a flicker of unease remained. He felt the thrill of desire, yes, but also the pull of the secret they were keeping. When they broke apart, gasping for breath, Alex buried his face in Ethan's chest. I like this. I like us. But sometimes I can't stop thinking about what it would be like if people knew." Ethan's hands framed Alex's face, his thumbs tracing the lines of his jaw. "I know. I wish it could be different. But the world isn't ready for us. And if anyone found out, it could ruin everything." Alex nodded, though his expression was conflicted. A thought lingered, dangerous and unspoken, but he pushed it down for now. "I trust you, Ethan. I do. But it's hard, hiding like this. Being invisible." Ethan pulled him into a protective embrace, holding him close as the yacht rocked gently. "I know, Alex. And I'll do everything I can to keep you safe. But this," he kissed the top of Alex's head, whispering, "this is ours and no one else can touch it." Alex let himself melt into the warmth, savoring the closeness, the thrill, the forbidden intimacy. But inside, a tiny spark flickered, a reckless idea he couldn't entirely suppress. He had been careful all along, careful not to draw attention. But the constant secrecy, the hidden longing, the pressure of being invisible had started to feel suffocating. Later, as Ethan was distracted by the gentle hum of the yacht's engine, Alex sent a subtle, almost innocuous message to a friend in the media. A hint, vague enough not to be traced directly to him, but enough to suggest that the elusive billionaire had a mysterious companion. He told himself it was harmless. Just a whisper. A test. Ethan, unaware, wrapped his arms around Alex from behind, pressing a kiss to his temple. "No one can see this, Alex. No one. Just us." Alex smiled faintly, heart pounding, not entirely from desire. "I know," he murmured. "Just us." But outside, the world had already begun to shift. Somewhere, someone was starting to piece together fragments of truth. Someone would be watching. Someone would notice. And in that quiet moment on the deck, with the stars glittering above and the waves whispering below, Alex pressed close to Ethan, feeling safe in his embrace, but also carrying a dangerous secret of his own. Because for all the intimacy, all the passion, and all the trust, the truth was already slipping through the cracks. And soon Ethan's carefully controlled world might not be controllable at all. The yacht drifted into the night, carrying two hearts bound by love, fear, and desire, but one of them had already opened a door that could never be closed.